Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's get right into the material. So, a lot of us are curious as to what Thomas Matthew Crooks did in the hours leading up to the attack on Donald Trump. Yes, there was a shooter. Yes, he did shoot people and killed one individual. Yes, he did shoot in the direction of Donald Trump. All this is baffling information for the simple reason that the Secret Service, who were tasked along with local law enforcement to protect the former president, Donald Trump, they all failed miserably. Why was this spot not scouted out? Why was it not properly secured? And the angle from which Thomas Matthew Crooks was able to give a clear shot. Why was he able to gain access through their rings of security? He penetrated their rings of security so far in that he had snipers behind him. So he was lined up to shoot. Now, I'll not go back and forth with anybody, but it has been confirmed that Donald Trump was not shot. Okay? The bullet hit a teleprompter. It broke glass. When Trump dove to the ground, he was cut by glass. Matter of fact, thank God for technology, because they're able to actually see the bullet hit the teleprompter. This is how good technology is now, to go through the tapes, because it was a taped moment, to slow it down enough to catch a flying bullet and see where the bullet went. What did it hit? I asked this question on one of my morning shows. I said the angle from which the gunman was shooting, somebody should have been hit behind Donald Trump if that bullet indeed grazed his ear. It grazed his ear means that it kept on traveling. So if it kept on traveling, where did it lodge? We know now that it lodged in a teleprompter. And it broke the teleprompter, and the glass from the teleprompter is what cut Donald Trump's ear, not a bullet to his head. Now, in the days since the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump, the pieces have begun to come together about what the suspected shooter was doing in the lead up to the attack. They're trying to figure out his motive. Did somebody pay him to do this? Did somebody put him up to this? Does he belong to a sleeper cell, terrorist organization, or some left-wing political organization that has it in for a president or a former president? So, according to this, the days before the shooting, Thomas Matthew Cook, he went to a local shooting club and he practiced on the rifle range. Counsels for the Clariton Sportsmen's Club confirmed to ABC News that yes, he was at the rifle range practicing on the rifle range, sharpening up his skills. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of Americans in areas where there are rifle ranges and you are allowed to have your guns and take them to the rifle range, we do just that. We take our guns to the rifle range and we practice to keep our skills sharp. Now, the 20-year-old has no military background. He has never served in the military. He is 20 years old. He recently graduated high school and he works at a nursing home as a dietary aide. He purchased ammunition shortly before the incident, both online and in person, according to law enforcement sources. They are tracking his every step because they really want to understand what his motive is. He even asked his employer at the nursing home where he worked as a dietary aide to take the day off. Could I have the day off tomorrow and then I'll be in the day after that? And they said, yes, you can have the day off. But he said he would be back by the next day. So by all accounts, this 20-year-old young man figured that he would assassinate a former president in public and then just return to his job at the nursing home as a dietary aide, and no one would know any different. So on the day of the attempt or attempted assassination, he asked if he could borrow his father's AR-15 style rifle. His father said why. He said he was planning to go to the range and shoot. Now, because his father had previously let him hold that gun, and he did previously go to the range and let off some steam, shoot, sharpen his skills, however you want to look at it, his father was not suspicious. His father thought nothing of it. His father has lots of guns. By the way, when the law enforcement officials searched his home, they found over 20 guns, or I believe it was over 20 rifles. So it wasn't anything out of the norm to have a gun around that household. It was a normal thing for them. And it wasn't out of the norm for him to ask his father to borrow one of the rifles to go to a shooting range, because he had done it before and they had no problems. Crooks then went to a local gun shop that same day. And on the day that he shot at Donald Trump, he bought 50 rounds of 5.56 ammunition. He also stopped at the Home Depot to buy a 5-foot ladder. That 5-foot ladder, though, was not found at the scene, and that 5-foot ladder is not believed to have been used gaining access to the roof where he was subsequently shot and killed from his shooting position. FBI agents examined Donald Trump's assassination attempt. They searched the suspect's house and the suspect, and a transmitter was found on him. They don't know if this transmitter was attached to some bomb that was planted somewhere or anything. It was just found on him. He then drove to the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, parking about a third of a mile away from a gas station. A third of a mile away at a gas station, away from the venue where Trump would be speaking. For at least an hour before the shooting, Crooks was seen walking around by eyewitness account, and by videotape account, he was seen walking around near the rally area. He was seen on video that was obtained by Pittsburgh ABC affiliate WTAE. You can look them up and you can see the video footage yourself. He was just pacing back and forth around beyond the boundaries of the Trump rally at about 5:06 p.m. Around 1 hour and 5 minutes before he started firing shots. He was also seen walking around near what's called the magnetometers. I'm not used to saying the word magnetometers, but he was seen walking around the magnetometers. Now, magnetometers is a device that measures magnetic field or magnetic dipole moment. Different types of magnetic meters measure the directions, the strength, etc., etc. You can just basically Google it and look up what magnetic meters or magnetometers are. A magnetometer is like a passive instrument that measures changes in the Earth's magnetic field. In ocean exploration, it can be used to survey cultural heritage sites such as ship and aircraft wrecks, and to characterize geological features on the sea floor. Any other information you need to know about magnetometers, you're going to have to go look that up yourself. Now, back to this. For at least an hour before the shooting, Crooks was last seen around the rally area. Now, he was also walking around near the magnetometers minutes before the shooting, according to law enforcement sources. Some witnesses who saw him reported him as a suspicious person. This is also information coming from law enforcement. Now, I won't say it out loud, but I'll just say, imagine if he was a black guy and a bunch of white people reported you as a suspicious person at this Trump rally. Whether you were Republican or Democrat, they would have found you. They probably would have been on top of him. But he was this innocent looking white boy who didn't look like he was there to cause any trouble, or didn't look like he could do much of anything, right? So he then made his way to a nearby building, climbing up a air conditioner unit until he was able to get on the roof of an adjacent building, according to sources. From there, he moved onto a taller building that was next to that building. Just before Crooks opened fire, rallygoers spotted him on the roof, laying in the prone position on his belly, ready to shoot from behind his rifle. Some of them said he was crawling on his belly on the roof. It's the same guy that they saw pacing around on the ground, and they again alerted law enforcement. This time, they even alerted the Secret Service. Now, it's crazy that the Secret Service did not take this seriously and get on top of it immediately. Like, the first thing they should have done was grab Donald Trump and get him up out of there, and then check to make sure that all areas are clear, and then he could be returned to give his speech. But they've ignored it. This is a big blunder and a big security fail. So in an unclassified briefing on Wednesday, law enforcement officials said 20 minutes had passed between when Secret Service snipers spotted Crooks on the roof and when he actually opened fire in Donald Trump's direction. I want to say that for you again. In an unclassified briefing on Wednesday, law enforcement officials said 20 minutes had passed between when Secret Service snipers first spotted Crooks on the roof and when he opened fire on Donald Trump. Now, that Secret Service sniper who spotted Crooks on the roof and let 20 minutes go by needs to be fired. Matter of fact, there are people who are highly suspicious and are saying the Secret Service must have been in on this assassination plot. Somebody talked this young man into being able to do this and gave him cover, which gave him confidence, thinking he would pull it off. And it's just by the grace of God that he missed. Very, very odd. Because if you think of a Secret Service sniper, you would think of someone who is very sharp, someone who would call out what he sees if it's out of place. The second he sees it, hey, there's a guy on the roof right here, 10-4, 10-4. This is Secret Service sniper number 1 on building A, roof 1 at position 1. There's a guy on the roof that is not one of us in clear sight. Call it into your higher command. Please keep President Trump in a vehicle, get him out of here, out of the venue, until we're able to secure the venue, until we're able to ascertain who this is and why they are where they are at. I don't want to shoot and then it's one of us getting into position. So let's find out. But apparently, this Secret Service sniper said nothing. Or did he say something and it was ignored? Heads are going to roll for this mistake right here. He was identified as a person of interest 62 minutes before the shooting, is also what this unclassified briefing from law enforcement officials said. So for 62 minutes before the shooting, you had people saying, this guy looks super suspicious. You had people saying, hey, he's climbing up on the roof. You had people trying to alert the local police and that was in the area and the Secret Service agents that were around. That was 62 minutes before. And 20 minutes before his actual shooting started, he was spotted by a Secret Service sniper. Wow. He was described as a loner, somebody who stayed to himself. He was described as someone with a very nice personality, very well-mannered, that got really good grades in school, but he had very little or no friends. One of his teachers said they are super surprised, they are flabbergasted to know that he is the person, because he is somebody who doesn't even really talk much and he is really well-mannered. The teacher went on to say even in the lunchroom at lunchtime he would sit by himself. And I would go over there and I would sit with him, like trying to draw him out of his shell. And I would ask him, hey, do you want me to call some of the other students over here to come sit with you? And he would say, no, please don't. Another person, which is a former classmate of his, described his day-to-day life at school, which is that he wasn't a fighter. He wasn't an aggressive person, and he was a bit different, so he was bullied a lot. Even videos have surfaced of people pulling on his clothing while he was in school, calling him names, laughing, making a spectacle out of him. But I'll say this. Here we go with the bullying stuff again. Oh, my peers bullied me in school, so I picked up a rifle and tried to assassinate a former president. It just does not add up. A lot of us were bullied in school. You either toughen up, fight, or in worst case scenarios, people have committed suicide. But that has to do with even other problems compiled, not just from bullying. So what I'm trying to say is bullying doesn't make you go pick up a rifle and decide to assassinate a former president. The crazy part about all this is he is a registered Republican, registered to vote as a Republican. So I'm wondering, maybe his mom and dad are registered Republicans, and they probably went to go register to vote at the same time he did or with him. So he felt like he had to register as a Republican to please his parents. You know, a lot of people take your political affiliation super seriously. Oh, if you are a damn Democrat, you can't be my son. Those Democrats are so stupid. You know, people take your political affiliation seriously. So I don't know if he felt intimidated by his dad and he felt like he had to register as a Democrat, but as a Republican, but he wasn't a Republican. Or maybe he is a Republican, but he doesn't like Donald Trump. There's a huge movement out there that's actually called Republicans Against Trump. he's probably thinking Donald Trump is the worst thing that could happen to his favorite political party. Either way, the motive for why he did what he did is still not uncovered. So, a Butler Township police officer actually attempted to stop the shooter by climbing up on the roof to approach him. But Crooks, who was already on the roof in position to shoot, pointed this gun at the officer. So the officer backs off of the roof. And this is according to the Butler County Sheriff, Michael T. Sloop. Now, as he backs off of the roof, the shooter turns and starts to shoot in the direction of Donald Trump. It was at this point he began firing the weapon, who at that moment turned to look at a jumbotron, and that they are saying if Donald Trump had not turned to look at the jumbotron, he probably would have gotten a bullet to the head. A Secret Service sniper shot back at Crooks, fatally wounding him with a headshot 26 seconds later, according to law enforcement officials. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. I'll catch you on the next video. It's BrainFLoTv. I'm out. Peace.